Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our refresher session for the English language. I know it's been a while. I was traveling and it's good to be back again, and I'm sure a lot of new people would have joined us in the last week or so. So please let me know if this is your first session with me or with the Talent Sprint itself, a live session. Let's see who's here. Okay, Girish is here. I only see Girish. Okay, let me go ahead. Shukla is here. Who else is here? Renuka, Banashri, Ashish, Tamaran, Mohan, Shreshi, Manik, Mehna. Meena, are you here? Hi Ravi, welcome. Aditya is here. Who's this? Shri Shubhaviti. Okay, nice. The water bottle looming large. So my admin guy came and helped me remove that from the frame. Garima. Spandanazi. Okay. All right. So welcome to all of you. Welcome to those who are here for the first time. It's good to have more people join the Talent Sprint family, and it's so nice to be back. Bhavyashri, welcome. So for those of you who are new, I'm sure just to give you a heads up with what's happening in these sessions. I'm sure I'm good, Girishma. Thank you for asking. How about yourself? So for those of you who are new, hi Priyamvada. What we normally do is, I'm sure you've already been a part of other refresher sessions with respect to quantitative aptitude and reasoning with either Rohit or Gayatri, and you know how the calendar is scheduled for the week, right? We've introduced some concept sessions. I'm sure you're taking advantage of the same. As usual, we have our problem solving sessions where you get to clarify your doubts, posting questions in the discussion forum, and we get to respond to the same, or even your own peers get to respond to your questions, and it's a good platform to learn through questioning, right? So these sessions, the refresher sessions, for the most part are taken from the tests, whether it's practice tests or All India mock tests that are scheduled every week, or full length tests. Whatever tests are available in the portal, we take up some challenging questions and discuss the same in these refresher sessions, because I think it gives us an access to challenging questions in terms of certain difficult question types, right? For some of you, jumble sentence might be a problematic area. For some of you, spot the error questions could be the problem area. For some of you, it's closed passage. So we get to cover a whole range of questions where each of your challenging question types will be covered, and we constantly keep looking at already concepts that are clearly explained in the video portal, right? We have some videos available for you in the library where you can go and check, okay, how do I approach jumble sentence? This is the technique that I need to use. This is the technique that I should apply. But do we do that? We may miss out on applying those techniques. So these refresher sessions will act as a reminder, hey, this is what you're forgetting to do, right? And again, we also end up learning new concepts in the process. So yeah, so that's what's happening. So let's get started without any delay. 5 minutes into the session. Usually it'll take 1.5 hours to 2 hours this session, so stick with me. We're going to learn a lot of things, and if you had taken the AIM test last week, some questions are taken from that test, and we look at other question types also. Like, for example, out of context is a question type, right, where it's a variation to jumble sentence, if you ask me. Jumble sentence, I know all the sentences are jumbled, I need to form a sequence. Out of context is nothing but, hey, what is not in line with the theme of the passage. It's the same thing, right? If I know the sequence, I will know which one is standing out, which is not supposed to be a part of this theme. It just doesn't fit right. So we look at question types like that also. Yeah. Hi Sharmila, some more people joined. Thank you Pavani for clarifying and explaining the concept. So there are some old timers, there are some old I would say talent sprinters who know the process, who know what's expected of you, how to go about. So please stick to that, listen to them, like they're almost like your mentors. So Girishma, Pavani has answered your question, right? Usually what happens is because we are either interacting with you, looking at you, or we're looking at the screen. And the session is specifically designed to address a particular objective. This session is a refresher session where we're looking at questions that you have. So ideally we want to encourage you to take tests, right? Most of you don't do that for whatever reasons, right? You're not available, you don't have time, whatever the reasons are. But we want you to take those tests so it will be easier for you to follow these sessions. Otherwise it will look like, okay, it's a new question. Of course you will end up learning something, no doubt. But you will be in line or in sync with what's happening if you take the test. Yeah. So Girishma, listen to Pavani. Okay, let me share the PPT. We'll get started. Okay, so the first question that we have in front of us is closed passage. We all know, if you've been a part of my sessions earlier, even on YouTube, if you've noticed, for closed passage, I don't want to, at the cost of sounding repetitive, right, we always skim the passage. So we have an idea of what the passage is about. It will help us choose associated words. But if you had taken the test last week, I think this closed passage was part of the test. Now there are some options where you might think, hey, why not this option? Because it's almost the same meaning, right? So when you have more than 2-3 answer options, you will have to choose the most effective word, obviously. How will you identify the most effective word? By understanding the context of the passage, right? The passage is always giving me some central theme or idea. So that's why it's important for us to skim the passage. Let's do that quickly within 30 seconds and then we'll start. So those of you who've taken the test, you know the answers. I understand that you want to give out the answers, but the objective of this session is to identify why is that the right answer and why not the other options, right? We're learning here. So yes, you can post your answers, no problem, but I'm saying this is the objective. Let's go back to the passage. I'm reading aloud. India's healthcare sector stands at a crucial dash point and is poised for takeoff. A dash population, a booming economy, rapid urbanization, and a growing awareness and appetite for pursuing healthcare. These are the ingredients going into the formula that has dashed the growth of the healthcare industry. However, every rose has its thorn. Indian healthcare expenditure is still amongst the lowest globally and a significant challenge dash in terms of dash of healthcare service and quality of patient care, what with the majority of healthcare focused in India's urban areas. Okay, so if you read the context, you have an idea. Obviously, it's about healthcare. Great, right? And they're talking about something that is beginning stage, the initial first 2 sentences, and towards the end they're saying, hey, but this is the current situation, right? What is the current situation of the healthcare industry? What needs to be done? So I have an idea, I have a gist. Okay, so keep that in mind. Hi, Akansha. Excuse me. Right, keep that in mind. Now let's go back and attack each blank. Yeah. Now, so every time, a couple of things, okay, before we get started again. Closed passage, one is, step 1 we've done. We've skimmed the passage, we have an idea. It will help us choose associated words. Step 2, we're going to apply other techniques. Other techniques, matlab, there will be clues in the context. In this particular blank, this is the most effective word because that clue is helping us, right? So I want you to look for, and we will also look for associated words, which are collocations, my favorite term, collocations, right? This word has to go with this. This is how it is because it makes more logical sense that way. Let's go back. Blank 1. India's healthcare sector stands at a crucial dash point. I will give you 4 options. Option 1, either you can substitute the blank with your own with your own answer, right? If I have to add a word in this blank, what word will I add? Then you look at the options, choose the most appropriate option. That is one thing you can do. 2 is collocations. 3 is context clues. 4 is, I don't know, let's see, right? Let's go back. My options are variation, pitch, inflection, delivery, modulation. Now, when I look at these 5 options, variation, pitch, inflection, delivery, modulation, there is some common link, no, in all these words. Can you tell me what that link is? It's to do with what? Variation, pitch, inflection, delivery, modulation. What does it relate to for you? Quickly, let me see who is able to give me that. When I look at all these 5 words for blank 1, what can I quickly relate these words to? Everything is associated to one thing. What is it? Where is my first person who talks about, who gives the answer? Tamarin, where are you? No. My question is, when I look at all those 5 options, it is related to something. What is that? Think, I want you to apply common sense. Some of you are saying change. I don't want the answers. Some of you are coming back and saying pitch, inflection. You're giving me the option, but I'm saying there is a connection between all these 5 words. What can I connect all these words to? Turning point, extreme point. Kiran, hi. Answer my question. Come on guys, you know this. Going back, I'm projecting the options again. What can I relate all these? Mood, Ravi says mood, Bala says important point, Kiran says similar, Rudra says sharp change. Nahi yaar. Okay, time up. All of these 5 options, words, I can relate it to speech. है ना? Speaking. I'm showing again, Girishma. All of this, I can relate it to speech. What is variation, pitch, inflection, delivery, modulation? All of this is what? Can you show again? Inflection. There is a variation in my tone, in the way I'm speaking. I'm modulating my tone. Can you show again? I'm angry. You can make out that I am angry in my tone, right? So this variation, this pitch is inflection, and delivery is nothing but the way I'm delivering, in my style. है ना? All these 5 words I can relate to speaking. Correct? Now, in the option, in my first blank, India's healthcare sector stands at a crucial dash point and is poised for takeoff. It's about to show some sort of a difference. Imagine a flight taking off, about to take off. Matlab grand opening, right? If that is the case, from the given options, what will be the most effective word? We all know that one word has different meanings in different context. है ना? In our context, we are talking about, if I have to substitute that blank with my own word, first blank. Yes, Girishma, first option only. What word will I put? India's healthcare sector stands at a crucial dash point and is poised for takeoff, which means it is at a place where it can either go like this or either go like that, right? So it is very important. It's an extremely, some of you gave me explanations. It is an important turning point. It is some sort of an bringing in some change which is relevant, which is necessary, which is the need of the hour. So if I'm saying all that from the options, will I look at variation as the right word? Will I look at pitch as the right word? Will I look at inflection as the right word? Will I look at delivery as the right word? Or will I look at modulation as the right word? Right? The most effective word given the options, most of you are coming back and giving me options, delivery, pitch, delivery point, all of that, okay? But the most effective word given the option is, we are talking about, like I said, most of you came back and gave me answers. Important. Right? I'm trying to get you to think out of the box, Rudra. There's always a connection between options, right? When you have more than 1, 2, 3 options that you think fits the blank, right? Because most of you are coming back, all of you are not giving me the same answer, no? Some of you are saying pitch, some of you are saying delivery, some of you are saying variation, inflection. So we need to connect the dots and choose the most effective word. So if I have to choose the most effective word, another meaning of option C, inflection, is nothing but a change in the course of something. And that is exactly the meaning that we need in point blank 1. Okay. So India's healthcare sector stands at a crucial inflection point. Why inflection? Like I said, we're talking about a change in a particular course of action. Another meaning for inflection apart from all of this. Right? So some sort of a turning away. So are you following? So that's why option C, inflection, is the most effective word compared to all the other words. India's healthcare sector, let's go back. India's healthcare sector stands at a crucial inflection point, meaning this is a point where it has to decide whether it's going to take the right course of action. It's poised for takeoff, but is it going to make the right course of action? Okay. Moving on. A dash population, a booming economy, rapid urbanization, and a growing awareness and appetite for pursuing healthcare. These are the ingredients going into the formula. So for blank 2, can you identify? I will give you the technique that we're going to apply, which is clues, context clues. Can you identify words from that sentence which will help you pick the right option? Options for blank 2 is burgeoning, thriving, fading, losing, exposing. What do you think is the answer? Neelab says burgeoning. Kiran says fading, losing. Okay. So you'll also have to know to eliminate the wrong answer options, right? Most of you are giving me A, B. Some of you are even saying C. How do I eliminate wrong answer options? If you look at the context, that's why I said I am waiting still for somebody to come back and tell me what are the context clues. Let's go back. Neelab, think of the words. If you look at a dash population, a booming economy, rapid urbanization, a growing awareness and appetite for pursuing healthcare. So if I'm looking at something to pursue healthcare, obviously I need a positive word. Hai na? What are all my clues from the context? Booming, rapid urbanization, growing awareness. These are my clue words, right? If these are my clue words and I need a positive word, I will immediately eliminate option C, D and E. Exposing is kind of an unrelated word, right? Exposing, you can look at whether it can be a positive or even a negative context depending on how you are placing that word in a sentence, right? But fading and losing, definite no. It's not a positive word, it's a negative word. I have to choose between A and B. Hai na? Sendamir Chelvi, you have said exposing. See, when I say somebody is exposed, which means they can be even prone to danger, right? So I can't look at that word only as a positive word. It also has negative meanings or connotations to it. I have to choose between burgeoning and thriving. So these are the two options that are closest in meaning. So out of these two, if I have to pick an option, what we are looking at is Some more clues from the context. Remember, I keep saying closed passage is all about the entire context. Having said that, what are we looking at? India's healthcare sector, that is our subject. It is poised for takeoff. Okay, that's a clue word. And please understand, we are looking at a growing awareness. We are looking at a booming economy. We are looking at, something that is about to start pursuing healthcare. Rapid urbanization. If that is the case, what is the meaning of burgeoning? The difference between burgeoning and thriving, for your information, both can be synonyms, but we have to pick the most effective word. Burgeoning means what? Anybody? Burgeoning means something that is, the only difference is this is begin to grow, okay? And thriving, on the other hand, when will I say something is thriving? Thriving means flourishing, right? Thriving means flourishing. So if I say, let's say, okay, let's say your particular town, let's say Kerala has been, that may not be your town, I'm just using a random city, right? So let's say, for example, Kerala has been thriving on tourism. If I say that, what I'm saying is the circumstances and the environment and the locations in that place is enabling tourists to flock there, and because of that, right, it's gaining a lot of popularity. So when I say something is thriving, it means it is successful in something, right? It is doing really well. But in this context, I need a word which is talking about something that is about to start, something that is about to grow rapidly. So that's why burgeoning is the right answer, Grishma. Yeah. So if I have to choose between burgeoning and thriving, even though they can be synonym in meaning, I am looking at a word that is talking about healthcare industry about to take off. Healthcare industry, I'm creating an awareness now only about that. So which means I need a word which is talking about beginning to start, beginning to grow rapidly, right? So the word is burgeoning and not thriving. Yeah. Option A. So we have India's healthcare sector stands at a crucial inflection point and is poised for takeoff. A burgeoning population, a booming economy, rapid urbanization, a growing awareness and appetite for pursuing healthcare. These are the ingredients going into the formula that has dashed the growth of the healthcare industry. Again, my options are goaded, urged, propelled, animated, spurred. If you ask me, all the 5 options, there are links, which means they are all kind of synonym, almost the same meaning, but I again need to choose the most effective word. What is your option? What are your options? Tell me. Think and tell me. So if you give me an answer, you tell me why you think that's the answer. What is the difference between goad, urge, propel, animate and spurred? I'll give you a clue. One of the best ways to eliminate wrong answer options is to think of usually this word, what will I associate this word to? Think of collocations. That will also help you eliminate the wrong answer options, because we are looking at a particular concept here, which is what? Our subject is healthcare industry. Go back. So most of you have said option E. Tamiran says option C. Anybody else has anything different? So majority E, right? Option E, option E, option E, option E. Only Tamiran says C. Rudra also agrees with. Okay, Girishma, done. I'm sorry. Revati and Rudra agree with Tamiran. Okay, let's look at our options, okay? When you say goad, so I'm not going to show my face for some time. Let's just look at the options, okay? When you say goad, think of cattle or a horse, okay? So you normally use a stick. Have you seen people who, take care of sheep or cows, or, what do? To kind of put them in, make them go in a particular direction on the road, or otherwise they have a stick, right? So they goad them, stir them to move in a particular direction. Or if you are on a horse, right, you goad the horse so that it does what you want it to do, whether you want it to gallop or you want it to trot, right? Things like that. So goad is usually used with animals, and not only that, goad has a negative meaning to it, right? When do you goad somebody? Usually the outcome is a violent reaction. When you goad someone, the reaction that you will get from them is not a very positive one, right? It will either be anger or annoyance or irritated, or they will do some impulsive act which they will regret later. So goad is a word that I will quickly eliminate. Urged, propelled, animated again, somebody who's, sometimes I'm very animated. The way I speak, I use a lot of my hands, I use a lot of my facial expressions, right? Animated, I can also again eliminate because it's an unrelated word. So if I have to choose between urged, propelled and spurred, when you urge someone to do something, the first thing that comes to my mind is, I urge you to please post one question per post in the discussion forum, which means I'm requesting you. Right? Urge is when you urge someone, you're expecting them to follow a particular course of action. I urge you to do this. Somebody is urging you to do something, right? So in that context, I wouldn't say that's the most effective word. So I will eliminate option B as well, urge. Propel. Propel is a word that I can relate to fire propelling the rocket to move upward. Steam propelling the engine to move forward, right? You can propel a boat with the oars, right? Some sort of a forward motion, propelling. है ना? See, you can, so quickly I'm associating this word with propel a boat, you can propel a boat, yeah? Steam propels a ship, rocket, is designed to propel the spacecraft. A boat is again propelled by a diesel engine, right? And if I look at spurred, let's go back to our context, okay? The context, these are the ingredients going into the formula that has dashed the growth of the healthcare industry. So, don't you think a burgeoning population, a booming economy, rapid urbanization, a growing awareness would be the perfect thing to encourage? The healthcare industry, right? It is serving the right causes to encourage. And that's why spurred would be a more effective word as compared to all the other options. Sorry, where are we? I think we're still here. Yeah. Are you following? Serving to encourage, right? That's another meaning of spurred. So please understand, urge is also a very close word that you can use, right? But in terms of a positive outcome, I would pick spurred, which is a more effective word. So anything that is serving to urge or encourage would be spurred, and that's exactly what we need in this context. These are the ingredients going into the formula that has spurred the growth of the healthcare industry. Moving on, however, every rose has its thorn. So here is a contrast. So far we've looked at what is needed to help the healthcare industry to blossom, to move forward, but not everything is hunky-dory. What's the meaning of hunky-dory? Everything is good. Let's move on. Let's look at our last two options. Indian healthcare expenditure is still amongst the lowest globally and a significant challenge dash in terms of dash of healthcare service. Let's look at 4 and 5 together. Option 4, flows, exists, lives, endures, consists. This is an easy one because it's just pure collocations. What do you think is the answer? Super. So everybody, most of you got it right? Because it's talking about a challenge that is already there in the healthcare industry. So obviously, we're not talking about what it comprises. We're not talking about what it has to, as in something that is long lasting. Lives is an unrelated, it's not the right word given the context, and flows is not the word that we're looking at. So obviously it has to be something that is already there, present. So this is the challenge. The expenditure, healthcare expenditure is the lowest globally and a significant challenge exists in terms of dash, in terms of openness, convenience, friendliness, accessibility and command. Now for the last one, there is a context clue. Can you quickly identify the context clue? Shreya has given me the answer for the 5th blank, but I need the context clue from the context. Please tell me what that context clue is. What is the context clue for blank 5? Hi Kranti, you have great listening skills. I'm not eating chocolate, I'm actually munching a sandwich. Urban areas focus service still. I will go with Mohan. He's very close, right? Mohan is said focused. What is the focus? Where is the focus in? This entire phrase actually. Healthcare service is not the clue, Neeraj. This entire last sentence, what with a majority of healthcare focused in India's urban areas. Which means what? What is the area that is missing out on not getting these healthcare services? Where there is no quality of patient care. Which areas are not accessed? What's your answer? Give me the answer to that question. What with the majority of healthcare focused in India's urban areas? Which means, what areas are not getting the proper quality of healthcare? Yes, focus on low caste people. Basically, we're talking about rural areas. Yes, Adarsh, right? So that's our answer. The last sentence is the answer. So we're talking about, hey boss, if healthcare industry is only focusing on urban areas, what about the rural areas? They're not getting quality patient care. They are not having, great healthcare services. That's why accessibility is the right answer. Right? Not openness, not convenience, not friendliness, not command. So what have we basically done? We've applied some of the techniques that we're already familiar with, which is, hey, there is always a clue in the context. There is always an option for me to choose the most effective word because of the theme, the central idea of the passage. Right? So I want you to think, I want you to first of all be able to connect the dots. Like if you look at, let's go back. If you look at option 1, blank 1 and blank 3, almost all the words are kind of interrelated. They're all synonyms. Yes, Girishma. So which means I have to constantly know how to choose the most effective word or the most appropriate word. How will I do that? We did a couple of things, right? We did collocations. We associated words. What will I associate propel to mostly? What will I associate go to? Eliminate the wrong answer options. What is the context expecting me to identify as the answer? Right? So, close passage, for some of you, I don't know, how many of you got 5 out of 5? Tell me. If you got 5 out of 5, I want to know. 4 out of 5 is also good. But if you have not been able to, and this is not a very difficult passage if you ask me, but the options are very too close, right? And then again, difficulty, easy depends on your, what do I say, strength in the language itself. Girish got 4, Ashish got 4, Spandana got 4, okay. Mohan got 4. So if you've got less than 4, your challenge is either you're not able to look at the context and identify context clues. That can be a challenge area, right? If the 5th blank you did not get it right, which means you're not focusing on the right context and you're not asking questions. Oh, Grishma got 0. That's okay. Last one went wrong. So, Neeraj, the last one is slightly the most easiest if you ask me compared to blank 1 and blank 3. Why? Because there is a clue in the context for you. We're talking about healthcare is only reaching certain areas. It is not reaching the other areas. That's the problem that we are facing. What's the word? Accessibility. You need to give access to all the areas. Everybody should have access to quality healthcare. Yeah? So, don't worry about it, Shukla. No problem. Yeah, first blank was tricky because I need to choose the most effective word given the option. So that's why it's important for us to understand the context first, right? Context first. Most of you will have a challenge even understanding what is the main idea or theme of this passage. How do I identify? And somebody asked, how do I apply collocations in close test? For the 4th blank, going back, right? We are talking about something that is already prevalent. The idea is we are talking about a significant challenge that is already something that Indian healthcare is experiencing. So I need something that is prevalent. Gaurav, I'm answering your question only. Something that is prevalent, something that is there. So if out of flows, exists, lives, endures and consists, what is the option that I will take? A challenge exists, right? That's my collocation. What I'm trying to say is, if I have a challenge, it's there, right? If you have a challenge of applying collocations to close passage, that is a problem that is there in you, Gaurav, right? So a challenge exists. A challenge doesn't flow. Look at the options. A challenge doesn't live. A challenge can endure, but we don't have to look at it so negatively, right? And a challenge definitely doesn't consist. A challenge always exists. That's my collocation. That's fine, Girishma. Yeah. So the more we practice close passage, if you ask me, close passage is an excellent question type to not only expand your vocabulary but also to improve your reading fluency, right? I have to read and understand what this context is all about. Very helpful for comprehension in general. And you continue to apply all other techniques like collocations. Sometimes you will just need basic grammar knowledge to identify the right answer option. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next question type. Yeah, which is what? Let's see. Spot the error. Okay, we'll come back to spot the error. How many questions are there in spot the error? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we'll come back to spot the error because I think the last refresher session we focused a lot of spot the error. Don't worry, I will not skip that, but I want to focus on jumble sentence out of context, and then we'll come back to spot the error. Okay. So I'm going to project jumble sentence. Okay, let me do this. Let me go back to the jumble sentence one. Ready? Neeraj is giving some examples. Okay, so let's do this. Jumble sentence, you have it A, B, C, D, E. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to a minute. Think of what your sequence can be. Think of what your sequence can be, and then we will brainstorm. Okay, your time starts now. The jumble sentence is projected in front of you. 30 seconds take. Think of what according to you is the right sequence, and then we will brainstorm. Let me just put a timer. In fact, I'll give you 1 minute. Your time starts now. If you are not able to complete this sequence within a minute, which means you have a big challenge in jumble sentence. Okay, in fact, I gave you guys 1.5 minutes, 1 minute 43 seconds. And I have some options. If I look at all the options, everybody's come back saying, hey, topic sentence has to be E. Then there is some variation, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, D, C, B, C, D, A. So after the topic sentence is where everything is all over the place. So let's go back and look at our context. How do I know E is the topic sentence for sure? Because of all my clue words, obviously, right? During this aging process, and is a, obviously there is a sentence prior to it, because this is like almost a conjunction, right? What aging process are they referring to? However, antonym clue word, but antonym clue word. So I can safely say, hey boss, E is my topic sentence. It has to begin with E, right? Arul Jyoti, this is for you. How do I make sure I get the right topic sentence? What is a topic sentence? It is the first sentence of a paragraph. It tells me, hey, this is what the paragraph is all about. So E is a topic sentence. Perfect. So what is E saying? Let's read. The age of a body can seem to be quite an obstacle on the road to changing long-held thinking habits, particularly since you received an extensive list of memes excuse me, memes concerning age very early on. Girishma, for you also, topic sentence, you made the same mistake. It cannot be B. Why? Because what? During which aging process are they talking about? Henna? That's just a mistake, Neeraj. Sometimes, you know, there'll only be 5 sentences. This is just a typo error. Don't worry about that. No F. Only 5 sentences in this context. Okay? Now, there is a clue phrase in E. If you identify that clue phrase in the topic sentence, you will be bang on with your next two sequences. Let's see if you can identify either the clue word or the clue phrase. The age of your body can seem to be quite an obstacle on the road to changing long-held thinking habits, particularly since you received an extensive list of memes concerning age very early on. What is my clue phrase from the topic sentence? So that I know the remaining two words have to connect. Very good, Mohan. Super. List of memes is my, yes, very good, Ashish Vidya. Correct. What is a meme? What is a meme? Something that is passed on from generation to generation, right? You've heard people say that. The right age for a girl to get married is 21. I just gave you an example. So, go back to the context. I'm going to project the context. Can you identify some memes in the options? Go back. Tell me what are all the memes. Which sentence is talking about memes? Which are the sentences which are talking about memes? And then I can say, okay, this has to follow this with another, it's a sequence clue word. So now tell me, out of A, B, C and D, which are the sentences that are addressing these sort of memes? Is it A, B, C or D? Basically giving you an example. I gave you an example of a meme, right? Which are the sentences which is giving you the examples of memes? B. Yes, Tamiran. Good. A, Arpita is saying, and all of it's making reference to the memes, but it's not directly giving me an example, right? Revati? Correct. Right? B and C. Banashri also correct. Henna? B and C. If you look at B, it says, you can't ride your bicycle until you're 7. You can't drive a car until you're 18. You can't have sex until you're married. Then C talks about, you can't get a new job after age 35. You can't change occupations because you're past your prime. You can't fall in love again at your age. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Right? These are all the memes. So B and C are giving me examples of those, that list of memes that they're talking about. Now out of B and C, can you tell me which has to come first? And there is a sequence clue word. What is the sequence? Yes, Girishma, punctuations also help. Now tell me, Neeraj, hold on. Don't give me the entire sequence. Out of B and C, which has to come first? And why? There is a sequence clue word. Giresh says B. Why, Giresh? Can you tell me what is the clue? Yes, very good. Because it says you had first heard statements. First is your sequence clue word. So B has to follow C. Because again you have a contrast, right? Because all of this is saying and then, however, on the other hand, that's also another clue, right? So these are one list of memes. There is another list of memes. So obviously C has to follow B, right? Okay, great. So which means I have an extensive list of memes which is mentioned in B and C. Perfect. Now, what do? The remaining is A and E. So, list of memes is covered here, boss. The examples of the list of memes is covered here. Great. So, what has to follow? Yes, A will come after B, C. Girishma. Correct, right? Why? All of these memes. And all of these memes became your reality. That is it. What is left? Only D is left. Even if I have to put a link between A and D, can somebody identify the clue phrase? Remember, I keep saying the best way to form links is to look for repeat words or phrases. So, there is a repeat word or phrase between A and D. Ashish, tell me what is that repeat word? Repeat word or phrase. Let's see who can quickly identify that. This is nothing but I for detail. I for detail. Where is the clue phrase? Fast, fast. Yes, we all know that D is the only thing remaining. It has to come last. But my question is, there is a link phrase between A and D. What is that phrase? Huh? Who's going to give me that phrase? Let's see how good you are with eye for detail. I'll give you 30 seconds. No. It's the whole phrase. All of you give me bits and pieces of it. There's an entire phrase there which is appadi repeat in A and D. "30 seconds is going to get over." Yes. Purnosaha. Yes, Rudra. Excuse of being too old. Excuse of being old. That's it. Bala. Super. Right? So you can definitely cannot make a mistake when you have these. But then again, it has to make sense, right? There could be repeat phrases, but you'll also have to see if it's logical, if there is coherence. So that's why, right, D has to follow A. So a lot of you came back and gave me your own sequences, right? So the final sequence is E, B, C, A, D. Who got this right? So that's your final sequence. What is that? But you need to remember refers general. No, it doesn't refer general. It is relating to the whole sequence is right here, no boss. The entire thing is revolving around age, what has been passed on generation to generations with the examples of list of memes. Hai na? So, 3 things we did. 1, 2 or 3 if you got the topic sentence itself wrong. That's the most easiest one to get, right? Because there's always these contrast clue words, sequence clue words, synonym clue words, antonym clue words. I can eliminate, and I think that was the first easiest part. And then we have to apply techniques like you need to ask questions, you need to identify repeat phrases, links, right? Identify the clue word in the context, look for examples of that clue word. That's what we've done in this jumble sentence. And this is pretty much the technique that you will have to apply in all the jumble sentence questions, right? I've shared this with you guys earlier. This is not a new technique. This is the technique. And every time you have to do the same thing. You might have to mix and match here and there, right? Because not all the jumble sentence will have clue words like what we had, however, but, and. Not all the jumble sentences just because there is a repeat phrase that this sentence has to follow that. It depends on the question, it depends on the context, right? You'll have to keep asking questions. So, not a very difficult one, but yes, some of you got the sequence incorrect. Okay? Yes, Gaurav, that's exactly what we're going to do next. So, let me just, give me a second. Goals of life and how to apply and achieve these goals. Neeraj, are you giving me a heading for this context? I'm sorry. Let's complete this. If you got the sequence right, EBCAD, let's put that. I always complete. Second, B. Fourth, A. Fifth, D. First, E. Third, C. That's it. You get the sequence right, you get all your 5 answers correct. Okay? Who got it right? Did anybody get the sequence right? Can you tell me? Who got the sequence correct? in the first instance itself, not after we discussed it. Moral of the story, okay. Okay, chalo. We're going to move to the new pattern of rearrangement, right? Not, I don't know if it's a new pattern, it's basically out of context theme. If that is not the pattern that we're going to discuss, Gaurav, I would like you to post the question in the discussion forum, an example of that. Yay, Vidya got it right. Okay. So only Vidya got it right. Fine, chalo, no problem. So we're going to move to the next one, which is out of context, right? Out of context, same concept, which means I need to know a logical, I have to find the logical sequence or coherence between some sentences, and there's one odd man out. I have to figure out which sentence is that odd one out. Yeah, out of context, odd one out. There are different names to this question type, but the concept is still jumble sentence concept. Okay, so let's look at that. So let's read the directions. This might be a new one for some of you, but I'm assuming all of you would have come across this question type, right? 5 statements are given below, labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Among these, 4 statements are in logical order and form a coherent paragraph passage. From the given options, choose the option that does not fit into the theme of the passage. So obviously there is one odd guy out. Out of context. So, yes, Monica, आपका problem क्या है? I want to talk to you regarding my English problem. Okay, we can make that happen. We can have an arrangement. I'll check with support team. I got your name. Let me I will make a note. Sanjana, Monica. Okay, so for now, we'll focus on the questions and then we'll get back later. Okay, so where are we? Girish is already giving me an answer, but read the 5 sentences and you need to identify a sentence that is not in line with the main theme. But for that, I have to get the theme correct, no? What is the theme all about? What is this context all about? Think. 2 of you. Okay. Ramalakshmi says this is new. I have not come across this pattern at all. Okay. Chalo. Mohan says 5. Okay. Girish says 5. Okay, Girish changed his answer. Mohan says the theme is language. Okay. Is it language? Are you sure? See, okay, my question is very simple. Okay. I want one of you to identify what is the theme of the passage. Theme. Tell me the theme. Don't give me the answers, guys. Let's go step by step. Step 1. What is the theme? Bala says book publishing. Girish says Indic language theme. No, it is a marketing of a product. Ashish says publisher. E-books. Book publishing. E-book reading. Multiple language. Okay, so let's identify the theme. The theme is, how do I identify the theme? There will be some connect, right? Let's go back. What is the connect? Let's read 1. It says, but local language publishing has not seen an explosion in production, distribution, marketing practices. Now, the first thing is, one of the techniques that you can constantly apply for a question type like this is, also look at whether the context is giving you a positive or a negative meaning. Right? Because if I have to identify all the sentences that portray one theme, unless there is a contrast clue word like however, but, rather, while, everything will align itself to either a positive or a negative theme. है ना? So the first one obviously is giving me a negative meaning, right? It's not a positive thing. Why? Because the thing is, it has not seen an explosion. Local language publishing has not seen an explosion in production, distribution, marketing practices. So negative. 2 talks about December 2016 had some good news for Indian readers. Good news, positive. E-tailer publisher Amazon said its reading device Kindle would now support at least 5 Indian languages. Isn't that a good thing? Isn't that a good thing? Positive. 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 This support of Indic script will make distribution of Indian language ebooks easier. Positive. This is a game changer for the 3 billion plus Indian publishing sector for more than one reason. Obviously, this is a positive. Now, so, and if you look at, so I have already identified in terms of meaning, right, whether it is giving me a positive or a negative meaning. I am looking at 4 sentences which are positive in meaning, and only this first sentence is negative in meaning. Now I am looking at the 4 sentences and trying to see, okay, does this make sense? Does this make sense? What we are talking about, Indian readers, those are our audience. What is the good news for the audience? The reading device Kindle, obviously it's related to the Indian readers. They are going to support what? 5 Indian languages. So more reach, obviously. Isn't that awesome? If you are an avid reader, if you use Kindle, and you've only been using it in English, and now you know that it's going to come out in Marathi or it's going to come out in Konkani, and you're like, wow, awesome, because that's your mother tongue, right? So yeah, this support of Indic script will make distribution of Indian language ebooks. Again, we're talking about Kindle, we're talking about readers, we're talking about ebooks, right? And this is a game changer for the 3 billion plus Indian publishing sector. Which is a game changer? Publishing in 5 Indian languages, widening the distribution, making ebooks easier to read. So, my dear friends, option 1 is the only one that is odd, that is not in line with the context. Because if you look at it, yes, it is making reference, 3 is making reference, okay, all these are, let's say all these are local languages, perfect, but it is not giving me a positive context, no? Supporting 5 Indian languages is a good thing, and local language publishing has not seen an explosion in production, distribution, marketing practices is a completely different, another topic, it can be another paragraph somewhere down in that article. Then they can say, hey boss, Kindle started to do this, right? Kindle decided to publish, widen their ebook reach, publishing in different languages, but we took a census, we took a survey after 2 years, and then we saw that this local language publishing actually did not work. It did not create the impact that we wanted. The result was not what we expected. Then I can say, but local language publishing has not seen an explosion in production, distribution, and marketing practices. That makes sense, right? So, given the context that we have right now, option 1 is the odd one out, because all my other options are positive in meaning. It is telling me the current situation on what Kindle has decided to do, which is going to help the Indian readers, making ebooks easier to access, widening the distribution, and this is going to be a game changer. Okay? Are you guys following? Are you with me? Are you able to understand? Girish, let me make one thing very clear to you. There is no one approach to a particular question type, right? Even in close passage, we don't apply only collocations for all the blanks, right? We'll apply context clues, we'll apply sometimes grammar, we'll apply, sometimes asking questions. So there are different techniques. For this question, this is one of the technique, right? The more question types the more questions I practice in this type, I will obviously automatically apply other techniques. One technique is to look at positive negative meaning, and that is what we've done in this question. Let's look at some more questions now in this question type, and then you'll know what other techniques are we applying. Don't jump the gun. Patience. You will learn a lot. No, there is a particular period that is mentioned, right? December 2016 has some good news for Indian readers. That is our topic sentence. So when I'm talking about a particular month in this year has had some good news, why would I bring a context which is not so good news? Right? That's not my topic sentence. My topic sentence, my first sentence will always tell me what went right or what went wrong. It sets the pace. It sets the foundation. The foundation is set. What is the good news? But local language publishing has not seen an explosion, production, distribution, marketing. That is definitely not good news. But all the other 3 points are good news. So yes, Aditya Mohanty. So our answer is A, out. See, a lot of us come back and argue, which is a good thing, because you're reasoning out, you're trying to understand why not this option, which is a good thing. But we have a foundation, we have a topic sentence saying good news. December 2016 has seen good news for Indian. What is the good news? All my other points are explaining that good news, except for that one point which is talking about a bad news. Are you with me, Rudra? Are you following? It's not about getting convinced, right? I can come back, I can say, hey, no. Even for a close passage point, somebody can come back and say, hey, no, propel is the right answer. I don't think the other option is the right answer. It's not about getting convinced, right? The objective here is for me not to convince you. The objective here for me is to tell you this is the right answer and this is the logical reasoning behind it, and that's all I can do, right? I can't sit and convince everybody saying just because you have a different opinion. I don't think I can do any magic or miracle to convince you to believe that this is the answer. I can say this is the answer, this is the explanation, this is the logical reasoning. That is all I am capable of. I have only that much, bandwidth or intelligence. Huh? Now, in that context, Ashish, when it says for more than one reason, this is a game changer for the 3 billion plus Indian publishing sector for more than one reason. Meaning, this is not just the reason, there are many more reasons, right? They have obviously not put down all the reasons there, which is okay. No problem. Okay, let's look at the next question. Yeah? Go. Your time starts now. What do you think is the odd one out? Think. Pravesh is like, ugh. Let's move on, people. What is the theme? Theme. First step 1, theme. Theme क्या है? So most of you have come back and said 2, 3, basically I have everything except 4, right? Income inequality, yes, Divyashri and Ashish and Gaurav. Bala. Yes, that's our theme. Okay, great. So we've identified the theme. Now, I want you to also understand certain words that you may not know the meaning of, right? That can also pose a challenge. Like, what is the meaning of polarization? Anybody? Or what is the meaning of hollowing? The easy way to connect to these words, polarization, think of polar, two, polars. We're already talking about some sort of a division, right? North and south, right? So division, either it's relating to some sort of a difference of opinion or difference of beliefs. That's polarization. What about hollowing? Anybody, what's the meaning of hollowing? Do you have an idea? Let's get rid of, sorry. I did something, yeah, okay. What's hollowing? Am I getting answers? Division into groups. Yeah. Okay, what about hollowing? Increasing gap. Hollowing means vast, isolated. You can quickly relate it to the word hollow, right? Something hollow, it's almost like creating a gap, creating some sort of a wedge. Some of you are saying empty, Gayab, okay. Yeah, something where I would say more on the lines of, removing, excavate, yeah. Okay, great. Now you have an idea of these, okay, good. Now go back. You have it's important for you to understand these words, okay? It'll help you pick the sequence. That's why I narrowed down on you understanding these words. What is resentment? Where is resentment? Okay, in sentence 2. Resentment is just some sort of a deep sense of regret, right? When you resent something, it starts with disapproval, not liking something, and then it becomes resentment is an extreme version of that, right? You don't like what's happening, you resent, right? So not agreeing is the start of it probably, and then you start hating it, and then you start resenting it because it's not going according to what you want. Yeah, so some of your friends are coming back and saying disagree, dislike, bitter, yeah, okay. So now let's look at the context. Let me go back and look at your answers 1 second. So most of you came back and said, basically I have 2, 3, 4 and 5. Did anybody say 1? Okay, no problem. Let's look at the context. Let's see who is correct. In recent times, rising, so income inequality, I mean, in terms of connect, right? Some of the words that I can quickly connect to. And if I look at another thing that I can pay attention to is to pronouns, right? This demonstrative pronoun, it, personal pronoun, what is it talking about? So in recent times, rising income inequality, especially the growing gap between the top 1% and the remaining 99% has been attracting a lot of attention, right? So this is another useful clue phrase, the growing gap. At the same time, it is creating a deep sense of resentment. What is this it referring to? The growing gap between the top 1% and the remaining 99%. Against the existing economic order in many parts of the world. But this is not the only way income distribution is changing. So one of the ways in which income distribution is changing has been mentioned here, which is top 1%, remaining 99%. Another important change, so we're still talking about that change, right? So this is not the only one, but another important change is taking place in the form of rising polarization or hollowing out. So rising polarization, division, like we just saw, right? And what is that division? Hollowing out of the middle, meaning what? We just saw what hollowing is, right? Creating some sort of a gap, excluding, removing. So having said that, if this context is talking about removing of the middle, right, or excluding, and this is referring to another change with respect to this, and if you look at option 5, it says the so-called middle class is considered an important pillar of social and economic stability. This is contradicting option 4, है ना? If the so-called middle class is considered an important pillar of social and economic stability, then why is this hollowing out mentioned as an important change? Right? Option 5 is the one that is odd, is the one that is not in line with what's happening. Because basically what it's saying is, the middle class is becoming less and less. That's what option 4 is saying, hollowing out of the middle. And that's where the gap is. So which means from the middle class, a lot of them are moving to the upper income bracket. Are either, it's either saying extremes, right? It's either people are becoming, the division is either I have people who's extremely poor, below poverty line, or is extremely rich. These are my two polars. Oops. Sorry guys. Where are we? Yeah. Okay. So having said that, I can easily say that option 5 is my odd one out. Everything else is in line with the context in terms of how is it changing, what is the gap. This is not the only way the change is happening, another important changes. So I know 3 and 4 is connected and they're all talking about the how there is this inequality in the within the income. Yeah. So those of you who said option 5, you are correct. That is the odd one out because it's contradicting the theme of the context. Bullseye. Okay, great. Let's do one more in this pattern and then we'll move on to the next question pattern. No, Pravesh, if you look at the previous one, right, in this one, we've identified the theme and the sentences may be arranged in the same sequence, or it might be, it may not be as a coherent passage as such, but we're just trying to understand the links between the four contexts. So all we did here is, we did not look at positive or negative meaning at all, right? We looked at the theme itself, and then we looked at probably clue words, right? What is changing, what is not changing. We identified some vocabulary words. In fact, the vocabulary words which is hollowing out of the middle help me eliminate the option that was the odd one out, which is 5, because 5 is talking about importance to middle class, whereas 4 is talking about, that is another important change that is happening, where the middle class is being kind of removed, and that the extremes are coming from there, from that middle class section. Either people are, some of them are getting to be super rich, some of them are moving into the extremely low, poor category. So this is a completely different technique that we applied. We did not apply positive negative meaning at all. We only, in fact, vocabulary, I would say, would be the technique here, right? Because I understood that word hollowing out of, I figured out that 5 has to be the odd one out. For this one, some of you are saying option 3, some of you are saying option 4. Concept sessions. That'll be covered in concept sessions. Who is this? Who said this? Gaurav, answering your question. Okay. Tamiran has come back and said option 3. Okay, it's between 3 and 4. Anybody else wants to give your 300%? Let's see why that is so. What is the theme? Theme kya hai? What's a theme? What's the central idea? And there is in fact a clue word. There is a clue word which will actually connect the other sentences very easily. What is that clue word? If you identify that one clue word, you will get your sequence. You can easily pick the odd one out. What is that clue word? Obviously from the topic sentence. Girish says force that governs us. I want that word. Who's going to give me that? Okay, it could be 2. Yes, super. Chandra Neeraj. That's my clue. Mysterious force. That's my clue phrase. Mysterious force. What is mysterious to you? Why would something be mysterious to you? When is something mysterious to you? When I don't have a clue, right? Like, I don't know where it came from. I don't know what caused it. I don't know what is the future, going to be because of that force. I have no idea. That's when it is mysterious to you, right? Something that is creating some sort of a curiosity in your head. You want to understand, but you don't have all the answers. That's why it's mysterious, right? Now, if I look at my options, the options that talks about that mysteriousness is 2, 4 and 5. We don't know the anterior of our birth and the posterior of our death. We don't know either the cause of our joy and sorrow, nor are we aware that certain subtle laws govern every living being on this earth. All these 3 sentences connect to talk about this particular word mysterious, except for 3. What is 3 saying? When I realize that I am responsible for my present state and I am the creator of my own destiny, the tendency to think and do evil is curbed. It's talking about in terms of some realization that you had personally, right? So option 3 is the odd one out. Are you guys with me? Again, in this option, no positive negative technique applied, right? It's just that one vocabulary word, mysterious. What is mysterious? When is something mysterious? Why do you feel mysterious about something? Because you have no clue. You don't have all the answers. It arouses your curiosity. It makes you think. Yeah? So 3 can again be another context somewhere down the line, right? Maybe it's a huge article. Are you following? So for the most part, these sort of questions, right? Either one of the techniques that I can apply is positive negative meaning. For the most part, I need to know words, be able to identify these clue words or clue phrases, right? Another thing, some of you might come back and ask, how do I identify the clue word? How do I know that mysterious is the clue word? How can I get that in the first place, Sylvia? If that is your question, then identify the topic sentence first, right? Because the topic sentence will always tell me, this is what this theme is about, boss. This is what this passage is about, right? And if you look at that sentence 1, let's go back. It says, it is not difficult to understand that a mysterious force governs this world, but we often fail to pay any attention to this. So how are we failing to pay attention? Because we don't know. We don't know. We're not aware. We're not certain. Pravesh, yes, how? Yeah, so from this topic sentence, I know that all of my other sentences are talking about how are we failing to pay attention. We're not focusing on the right things. Yes, it could be different. It could be different. So the more questions that we practice in this particular question type, we will come across many different techniques that we can apply. Right? We've just looked at 2 or 3 techniques out of the 3 questions that we've looked at. Right? So the more questions we practice, the more techniques we can apply. Unclear. Sadness. So which means we can probably look at some more questions from this type to clear your unclearness, Ramalakshmi. Yeah, we can do that. But for now, I don't want to spend a lot of time on one particular question type. So we're going to move to the next one, which is spot the error, right? Like I said, like I promised. So we'll do that, and then we'll include as many questions as possible. Getting some clue. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So we need to look at spot the error, right? Where is it? Okay, can we look at, yeah, Gaurav, what's your request? Oh, mysterious, I mean. Okay. Ma'am, on request here. Yes, Gaurav, I'm listening. Exams a burden. What do you see question banking life? That is my primary question, Preet. Right? What are they trying to do to us? Why are they doing this to us? Right? Some of, like, I especially for vocabulary questions, right? Synonyms and antonyms. Some of the words that they give you guys, like, we won't even be using those words in our everyday conversation, but still, it is there for a reason. I mean, they have to create some sort of a margin, right, to be able to select only the top guys. The only way to do that is, this is one of the ways in which you can do that, I guess, because how else will you mass eliminate people? Make it weirder, as tough as possible, right? And then see who is able to crack the exam. Yes, Gaurav, I think I answered your question. We'll be covering that in our concept sessions. Was that you or somebody else? Okay, chalo. So let's just spend the next 10 or 15 minutes looking at spot the error. Again, I'm assuming these are questions that were covered in the AIM last week. So if you were there, I mean, if you're taking the test, you know what the answer is. So you can help the others get the right, get the right explanation. Let's do the first one. Hectic schedules can take a toll on anybody, and the solutions to this is a quick holiday to some exotic location. So we're going to quickly look at the error types, so you will know what to look for in a spot the error question type. Which part do you think has the error? What's a concept? So what's the concept here? Yeah, everybody got this right? Yeah, why? Because we're talking about, it's a noun number concept. This question is already discussed, it seems. I don't know. I think I'm just taking it from what was published in your AIM, or rather the team has put this question. I have come across this question a lot of times. So noun number, we're talking about only the a quick holiday, which is only one solution. So obviously it cannot be solutions, it has to be solution. Okay, great. We know this, so the error is in part C. So let's quickly move on. If Rajeshwari would have come to me, I would have given her the help she needed. Where is the answer? What concept is this? The first one we looked at was noun numbers. Right? We need to look out for errors pertaining to noun numbers. What about the next one? If conditionals, Chandra Neeraj says B, most of you are saying A. Yeah, what conditional is this? It's an if conditional, obviously. If, can somebody tell me what conditional though it is? One, two, or three? Let's see how good you are with your if conditional concept. Yes, third conditional. Thank you, Tamarin, right? If Rajeshwari had come to me, I would have given her the help she needed. So obviously the error is in A, had. Let's move on. The court has asked the authorities to take appropriate steps to do what? To restore natural water resources so that the water shortage problem in the state can be solved. So just quickly look at, if the infinitives are in the right place, do I have the right conjunctions? Is the tense appropriate in the context, right? These are all like quick touch points you need to look out for, and not. So Girish says no error. Preet, no error. Neeraj says no error. Ashish says no error. No error, no error, no error. E. And that would be correct because everything seems fine, right? The tense is right up there. Present perfect tense. Has asked, can be solved. To take, to restore. The infinitives are in place. Shanavas and Arpana and Pechi. Why do you think D? Let's identify the parts first so we are clear. So they feel something is wrong with D. What is wrong with D? What will you change in D, or what do you want to change in D? Panu, what is wrong with D, part D, according to you? Why do you think there is an error in part D? So what's wrong with so that? That's anyway in part C. It should be resolved. Why do you need why do you want to change can to could, Ramalakshmi? The context is not past tense, right? It's talking about this has to be done so that you can see the result of that action. So where is the need to change can to could? the general tense in the sentence is present perfect tense. So why are you bringing the past tense of can, could here? Okay, so not required. If that is what you feel is the problem with part D, then incorrect. Okay, and I'm assuming all the others also had the same problem. Either you are saying solved, resolved, or can and could. Pretty much the same meaning, everything is fine, no error will be the answer. Let's move on. Next one. The government faces a setback over its decision to do what? To appoint new directors to the boards of the 3 DISCOMs after the High Court said such appointments were illegal. What do you think is the, where do you think is the error? What's the clue? Yeah, this is an easy one. Gaurav says B. Okay, let me see. I mean, Mohan, so it's between A and B. Arpana Divyashri says A, Mohan, Gaurav says B. So, can somebody identify there's a clue word, no, in the context which will tell us why or which part is the error. It doesn't matter, Shanavaz, for the previous one. I want the clue word. There is a clue word in the context. Can somebody tell me what the clue word is so you'll know? It will help you with the tense, which tense to use. That's why I'm asking. Hey, actually, hold on. Shanavaz, I want to quickly address Shanavaz's question. It's important. It's a good question. So I just want to take a minute and address that. This is the previous question, right? Let's just go back to the previous question 1 second. I'm sorry about this. So he says, if I put resolved here instead of solved, right? That's your question, right, Shanavaz? Will it be correct? So the opportunity that we have is, what is the difference between resolved and solved, right? That's what. When I say something is resolved, I'm already talking about an existing thing. There was something going on, and then it got resolved. So let's say there was a problem, there was an argument that existed, and then it was resolved. So which means currently there was happening, it was already there, and then there was a solution to it. But when I say solved, I'm talking about the problem is not necessarily existing. Maybe it just cropped up, you know. Solved is more of like a, what can be the logical action that we can take to this problem, to the current problem that we are facing, right? So in the context, let's go back to the context. The court has asked the authorities to take appropriate steps to restore natural water resources so that the water shortage problem in the state can be solved. So if you're asking me, can I use resolved instead of solved? Will it still be fine? It depends on how you want to view this. If you're saying the water shortage problem has been existing for quite some time, resolved can also fit. But if you're saying this is a new problem that has cropped up, I want a logical solution to this problem, then solved would be more appropriate. But in terms of meaning, I don't have to change solved to resolved because the meaning is intact. So in terms of vocabulary or grammatical wise, because we are only identifying errors pertaining to grammar, right? And vocabulary also. So if that is the case, then solved is fine as it is. But there is not enough information in the context telling me how long the water shortage problem has been the issue. Accordingly, I will choose resolved. So the difference is existing, now it's okay. New problem, I want logical solution. Existing, now I have to, it's taken care of, resolved. New problem, I want logical solution, solved. Okay? I hope I didn't confuse you. Okay, coming back to this. Where were we? Huh. No, did somebody give me the clue word? Clue word. Yes. Kiran Kumar. Thank you very much. You have given me the clue word. Kiran Kumar has said the clue word is setback. Huh? Something has to have happened for you to face the setback of it, right? Which means it has to be past tense. Logically apply. You can only, right, you faced a setback. So we were referring to a past tense action that happened. Yes. So government faced a setback. It made a decision, right? The decision was to appoint new directors to the boards of the 3 DISCOMs. After the High Court said such appointments were illegal. But the result is, what happened? They faced a setback because of that decision. Shana was very much confused. Okay. Don't worry about it. Maybe I can create a separate word. Sorry. I can create a separate session for difference between these, confusing words. Yeah. So anyway, here the error is in part A. If it faced a setback because of the decision that it took. Yeah. Let's move on. The implementation of unified GST in India is likely to be one of the most far-reaching indirect tax reform affecting all factors of production and economic agents. Where do you think the error is? Arpana says B. Most of you are saying C. Yeah. So this again, just I for detail. Noun number error. So Girish, yes, you're right. Remember, guys, whenever you have anything starting with one of the, right? So whenever I say one of the, which means out of so many, I am taking out or focusing on one particular aspect, right? So it has to be one of the many. So one of the is always followed by a plural noun number. That's the rule. Something that you can overlook. Reforms. Yeah, Gaurav and the rest of you. What do you think? Why do you think part B is the error? It's likely to be one of the most far-reaching. Seems absolutely fine. Okay, anyway, the error is in part C. Yeah. Let's look at the next one. According to police, Santosh Devi and her son Arvind were on their way home when a canter ran over their scooter, killed both of them instantly. Where do you think the answer is? D, 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 D. B. Some of you saying B. Okay, so the concept is pretty simple here, right? It's obviously a tense related concept. So when you're saying, so there are two actions happening here, right, in the context. What's the first action? What happens? One is, what's a canter? Anybody? According to police, Santosh Devi and her son Arvind were on their way home when a canter ran over their scooter, killed both of them instantly. Huge truck, don't know. See, in fact, a canter can refer to any four-legged, quadrupled animal, right? It can be anything, a dog, a horse, or even a four-wheeler, right? So in this context, they're probably referring to something that ran over their scooter, right? So assuming it's some sort of a truck, like Ashish says, four-wheeled, right? So according to police, Santosh Devi and her son Arvind were on their way home when a canter ran over their scooter. So the first action is they were run over by their scooter. Second action is they died. And both these actions are happening to the same people, right? Our subject is Santosh Devi and the son Arvind. Right? So having said that, but Ramalakshmi, a horse cannot run over their scooter. That doesn't make sense, right? So we'll have to also look at the context and figure out what can it be. Yeah. So having said that, when two actions happen to the same person, we can look at one of the actions in the present participle. Think of example sentence. This is something that you already know. So I can say, listening to music, I spent time finishing my, or I spent time finishing my homework or whatever. So I'm actually looking at two actions that are happening simultaneously. In that context, I can use an ing form. That's what the context is saying. So according to police, Santosh Devi and her son were on their way home when a canter ran over their scooter, killing both of them instantly. And that's why you have to change killed to killing. Because why? Both the actions, yeah, same person. Or even when you are talking about, the example that I gave is when one action is happening right after the other. And this is also done by the same person or thing. In that case, we can look at using the present participle, ing form. So that's an example, Neeraj, of an unnecessary preposition. I don't need that to there in that phrase. On my way home, I don't have to say on my way to home, which is incorrect, right? That is a classic example of an incorrect preposition which is used, which is not required at all, unnecessary preposition. So on their way home, an expression as it is absolutely fine. You can add technically to be correct. According to the police, Santosh Devi and Asan Arvind, yeah. Yeah. So here, again, it depends on the context, right? So if I'm generalizing, right? So there are certain group of people. So in the context, what I can look at is maybe the neighbors had a different story, but the police in general had their own story, and witnesses on the road had another story. So according to police, this is the story. According to neighbors, this is the story. I can look at it like that. So when I'm generalizing something, I don't have to necessarily use the definite article, but for clarity and in terms of technical purposes, it does make sense for me to say, according to the police, this is the story. According to the neighbors, this is the story. Yeah. So yes, if you come back and ask me, I would say to make the sentence grammatically accurate, I would use the definite article in part A, which means it looks like there is more than one part that has the error, but the most obvious error is in part D. Killing both of them instantly. That's exactly what the other person, Divyashri, same question, right? Neeraj asked. You should not. You don't have to. It is an incorrect way to say. To as a preposition is incorrect here. It is an unnecessary preposition which don't need to be there at all. Sham, this is for you as well. Okay, anyway, the obvious error, definitely part D. You change kill to killing, and that makes the sentence grammatically right as well. For discussion purpose and argument's sake, this will make it technically right, according to the police. Yeah, let's look at a couple more. The government said the crisis triggered by loss of jobs of several thousand Indians in Saudi Arabia have been resolved. Where do you think the error is? Sorry? AAAACD. Okay, so let's look at all the parts. Most of you came back and said D. The government said the crisis triggered by loss of jobs. So that's a general context, right? Loss of jobs is the context that they're referring to. Of several thousand Indians in Saudi Arabia have been resolved. This is a classic example of a subject-verb agreement, right? What's the subject? Quickly tell me what the subject is. Subject, give me the answer. What's the subject? Is it the government? Is it the loss of jobs? Is it the crisis? What's the subject? Yes, Ashish. The subject is the crisis, which is singular. The government is stating something. The subject is the crisis. The crisis was triggered by loss of jobs of several. These are all extra information, right? What has been resolved? The loss of jobs has been resolved? No, that's just one of the factors, right? It's almost like a stimuli, loss of jobs. But the subject is the crisis, which means it's a subject-verb agreement, right? I just have to change have to has. Right? All this prepositional phrase of several thousand Indians is all extra information. Don't be confused by the prepositional phrase that comes between the primary subject and the verb. What has been resolved? The crisis has been resolved. Not the government, not the loss of jobs, not Indians. What has been resolved? Indians have been resolved? Doesn't make sense, right? So I can't say this is my subject. The crisis has been resolved. That's my primary subject. Identify the subject, you'll get where the answer is. Change has to have, error is in part D. Okay, we just left with 2 more minutes. Let's look at one last question for spot the error. Get this correct and I'll be happy. So far we've looked at subject-verb agreement, we've looked at tense, we've looked at again certain phrases where we know that, singular noun number or plural noun number will follow. Here again it's to do with tense. Here again it's to do with no error basically. If conditionals and noun numbers, okay. Sorry, Shanawaz, are you giving me the answer for the last one? A, B, C, D. The draft report which was presented at a committee meeting could not adopt as the BJP member raised objections. As soon as you read the sentence, even if you are not understanding the context or the concept, you still know which part has the error, right? It's that easy. Something obviously sounds awkward or funny. So if I have to say they could not adopt the draft report, whoever it is in the committee meeting, right? They represent somebody at the committee meeting. So they could not adopt the draft report. Yes. So why are you changing this? Let's say this is the active voice. Yeah. So how will you change it to a passive form? The object becomes a passive subject. The draft report, complete the sentence, complete the passive form of this. Adapt and adopt, that's another confusing word pair, right? Adopt here means what? We're talking about implementation of this report, hai na, the draft report. We're not talking about to adapt to something means I can adapt to a specific, what do I say, climate, weather condition, right? That's a completely different word. We are talking about something that could not be implemented, adopted. Again, one word has different meanings in different contexts. Yes, Adish. The draft report could not be adopted. That's it. And that's where the error is. Part C. Could not be adopted. Yeah? Clear? So just a classic case of, in terms of sentence structure, active voice versus passive voice. So some concepts we touched upon in spot the error: noun number, subject verb agreement, tenses, active voice, passive voice, participle, present participle. Again, it's part of tenses. So from this session, let's do a quick recap. We started off with, what did we start off with? Closed passage. We spent extensive time on closed passage, understanding certain techniques that will help us. Second, we moved on to jumble sentence. Again, we looked at some basic techniques which will again help us form a logical sequence. We looked at a variation of jumble sentence which is out of context, or spot the odd man out. Some of you were having trouble understanding that. For some of you it was new. We will probably incorporate more of those question types. And spot the error, the more we practice, the more error types you'll be familiar with, right? So for those of you who it was your first session, I hope it was, what do I say, not too overwhelming for you and you were able to follow what was happening. But going forward, we will change the way we, especially with the introduction of concept sessions, right? So like most of you came back and said, I need information on root words, or we need to look at vocabulary as such. And so we look at certain concepts. And tomorrow I think we have a session at 6 again for English language concept session. We're going to look at how to eliminate options. That's a big problem with most of us, right? How to eliminate the wrong answer options, whether it's closed passage or fill in the blanks, or any options that we have, whether out of theme, any question type for that matter. So we're going to look at that, and we're also going to look at something called as syllables, which is very, very basic. So don't miss tomorrow's session, be a part of it. I'm sure you'll learn quite a bit. Okay? That brings us to the end of the session. Thank you for staying for the 2 hours. I don't know if some of you got off in between. Anyway, so I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6. Okay? Bye-bye. Good night.